We did it. We lost everybody who might have been waiting for us because software problems, as usual. And that's just how it goes. So eventually some people will funnel in and we will have a live stream. Until then, what should we do?
Talk amongst ourselves.
I don't even see our chat. We got to get our chat window up here. And hope that people find us.
Come find us.
Yes. So you were out gathering pine cones?
Yes, I was.
And dead weeds?
And dead weeds. It was fun. It was fun gathering pine cones and dead weeds.
Did you just throw them right back on the ground once you found them?
What?
Well, we have no context. We don't know why you were looking for pine cones and dead weeds.
Got it.
So you found them and then you left them there?
My mic is also drooping. Okay. No, we are getting ready for our first Thanksgiving in a week, our first Thanksgiving family gathering. And so
in this house. Oh, the first of two.
The first
That's
of
what you're
two.
trying to say.
Yes.
We've been married a long time. I should know what you mean, even though you don't speak it clearly sometimes.
I said the first. Okay.
Yeah.
The first of our family gatherings for Thanksgiving is what I said. Seems pretty clear to me. Is next weekend. And so you had said we need tablescapes.
Yeah, we need tablescapes.
And so I went out and I gathered weeds and pine cones and twigs and something else. I feel like a couple cattails. It's kind of past cattail season. And yeah, so.
And you put them in vases?
Well, they're in a container for right now. My vases are at the other house.
And so these are going to be decor.
And these are going to be decor for hopefully they make it through 2 Thanksgivings.
And from what I've seen, it actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, I did no arranging at this point. They're just all shoved in a thing. So yeah. And I have pine cones drying in the oven right now. And yeah, so that'll be fun. And at this first Thanksgiving next weekend, watch out for spiders. True. At this first Thanksgiving, we're also going to make the females are going to do a craft project.
I'm not invited?
Well, you could.
I don't want to do it.
I didn't think so. Where we're going to make like a Christmas thing. So next week, Friday, probably, I'll be out gathering pine trees. Well, not full trees, pine tree boughs, maybe some more pine cones and those red stick things.
We could dig up a Christmas tree off the property.
We technically could,
or cut one down.
We could.
But it would look like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree because they're just not super full like these, genetically modified Christmas trees.
Yeah, they are not quite the same. But there are plenty of little Charlie Brown ones we could use.
We'll leave them alone. Unless we wanted to put them in a pot or something.
So that's true. Yeah. So that's what I was doing before the live stream, and I was enjoying it, and the dog was out with me, and we have a pretty nice fall mid-November day. It's exactly mid-November.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
And you have a brisket in the sous vide.
I do. I have never made a sous vide brisket before. I've made a brisket on my big green egg a couple times, and it was fine. I'm pretty good with smoking, but I just haven't done the brisket enough because it's such a big time investment. So yeah, I figured I would try it in the sous vide. You might say finish it on the smoker, but my smoker is also not at this house because someone doesn't really like the smoker.
I do not like it.
And so he's not real keen on bringing it over.
Well, it takes meat and makes it taste worse. And I'm not a fan of that. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll finish this in the oven and it should be done tomorrow sometime. Tomorrow.
So I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yeah. And speaking of sous vide, this is the second year that I plan on sous videing our turkey for Thanksgiving.
Oh, you did that last year.
I did. Yeah.
The whole thing.
You have to break it apart and cook the white meat separate from the dark meat. So it's In a way, it's a little more of a hassle than just throwing it in the roaster. I get pretty good results just throwing it in the roaster. But in this instance, I get to do it the day before, and I kind of can set it up so that it stays warmer longer when we serve it.
Well, I like that because
That's what I was aiming for. Because
I don't want to go cold turkey. I don't even know why that phrase exists.
I don't know either.
It makes no sense to me.
So I'll be sous videing my little heart out for the next couple of weeks. Although first family Thanksgiving is not turkey, it is going to be a Mexican type bar. Not alcohol bar, like a taco bar type thing. So yeah.
From which I will eat the meat.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to cover all my bases. Now, my mother has just introduced meat into her diet on occasion. But yeah, there'll be people who eat carbs, they can grab tortillas. People who don't won't. I'm making my chuck roast chili actually for the beef, and then my sister-in-law is bringing some shredded chicken type of a meat. So yeah, we can pick and choose whatever we want.
And then the following weekend is the traditional
yes,
Thanksgiving. So it's good.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know where you're from, how long you've been doing carnivore, if you're just carnivore curious, or if you're keto or ketovore, any of those details. If it has it helped you? Has it harmed you? Are you a vegan watching this, hate watching us? You're welcome. We have no problem with you whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
We have a number of topics on our list today. None of them are super exciting none of them are like the lead item.
No, he laughs at me when I do that. I always tell him, okay, I'm going to tell you about my day and you don't want to hear any of it, but here I go.
But we had one left over from last week, which was something about Dave Mack's blood work that he did a video about.
Yes. Now,
which you told me about, but I have not watched the video.
No, I did not. You did not. I did not see you watch the video. No, I thought you might be interested in this because you have been on Carnivore for about 2 years.
Yep.
And you have not seen miracles with your blood work like some people do.
Correct.
With the trigs and the HDL. And in this video, Dave Mack talks about his surprising, shocking numbers where his cholesterol greatly improved. Now he's using, the number I have down is the LDL number. It was a 369 to start with. And I know we're talking trigs and HDL with you, but I think all of his numbers improved. But his LDL went down to 101 from 367 or 369. I can't read my writing from last week. But down to 109. His trigs were 39 and his HDL was 66. So his numbers took some time, but drastically improved. And his whole point was without a statin. And who knows why he might have needed elevated cholesterol, elevated, especially LDL at first. But now his body, he feels, has regulated it and has always been making him exactly the amount of cholesterol that he needs. And your response when I told you was that your health anxiety portion of your brain thinks there must be something wrong with him for his numbers to go down like that.
Yeah, that was my inherent health anxiety popping up going, well, that's too big of a change. Now, I'm not going to say whether one of those numbers is better than another.
No, we don't know.
But the point, as you said, is that over time it changes.
Yeah.
And that's a dramatic change.
Dramatic. And a couple days after you were like, well, my health anxiety brain just says this, there I'd go doing your voice again. But a couple days later, Laura Spath didn't give the exact numbers, but she said the same thing happened to her where it sort of, if you want to say moderated, again, I don't really want to put a judgment on it, but it changed drastically since she's been doing carnivore.
Yeah, it's fascinating that you think you've been doing something for 2 years, you should see all of the benefits you're probably going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Although I haven't been doing it quite as controlled as I am now.
Right.
But that isn't the case. The body heals much more slowly in some ways than you
Yeah.
would ever think. Because I don't know. I suppose it's just it's how the body is, right?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
things can be very quick, but others just are really, really take their time,
Yeah.
and all kinds of invisible processes are happening that have to happen in a certain order. I guess I don't know, but yeah, I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it takes me back to Dr. Kiltz, who's like, just don't measure anything. Just don't worry. But I do. I don't worry intensely, but I do like measurements. But he's like, yeah, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, I can't do
Just,
that.
yeah, you won't for sure. I might be able to lay off the measuring a little bit.
Um, we had a video come out. What is today? Friday, Wednesday. That was my birthday video. Thank you guys who watched it and gave it the old thumbs up and left me birthday greetings. Those are much appreciated. Felt good. It was a fun video to make.
You had a beautiful weather birthday
Yeah,
for
it was
again for mid-November. It
it
was
was
quite
gorgeous.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually filmed the video the day before my birthday, but I considered it my birthday. Um, yeah, put a lot of work into it, and then it got a lot of views. So I was very happy.
Yeah.
Um, although when I just checked before we went live, it looked like YouTube was done with it. They were like, okay, that's enough. We are going to have a modified publishing schedule on YouTube from now through at
The
least,
holidays.
yeah, for the holidays,
Yeah.
at least through the new year. We will be doing a new pre-recorded video will come out Tuesday, and we will go live continuing on Fridays.
Yeah.
But we're going to drop one of the pre-recorded videos so that we can attend to other things in our lives. But hopefully the live videos will have a little bit more content and planning to them than we currently do. So that change is coming. So don't be looking for us on Wednesdays or Sundays.
Right. So this Sunday, no video.
Nope.
No video.
You will, however, get a video for whatever Thursday Thanksgiving
The
is.
28th.
The 28th. There will be a special edition video for that
Yes.
day, and will not be alive on the day after Thanksgiving because we have many traditional activities we have to do that day
Yes.
that do not include going shopping for gifts.
No, we don't. But our daughter will be home, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got all kinds of things we're going to do with her. I saw this post on X from Dr. Baker. Biltong just blows beef jerky out of the water. Farmer Bill's biltong is honestly some of the best I've ever had in the U.S. And I think he had another post talking about having had it in maybe South Africa or something. I can't remember exactly where he said he'd had it before. I had never heard of it, but I was interested in it because I like beef jerky okay, but I like it better when it's got lots of good spices and sugar in it, which is not allowed. So I ordered some of this biltong from Farmer Bill's. And here is this fat-soaked little paper bag. It comes in a sealed plastic bag. Here's a little chunk, and it looks kind of like a wilty jerky because there's a little bit more moisture to it. The ingredients are beef, apple cider vinegar, and some salt and pepper or something like that. This one also has some chili seasoning in it to make it a little spicy. And this stuff is sliced up into these little kind of like bacon chunks. But biltong apparently is air dried. And as long as you keep airflow around it, it will stay preserved for indefinitely. They also have some that's the spicy stuff.
I knew you said it was, but it's more than I thought.
And I love
took a little
you
schnibb.
notice I didn't eat any of it because I was gonna keep talking. But it comes in a plastic thing, but they give you these little paper bags and say once you open it, put it in the paper bag and leave it out, and then just shake it every once in a while to make sure airflow gets in there and you don't get any moisture, otherwise it'll mold. But they said even if you get a spot of mold on it, you can just wipe that off with a little bit of vinegar and you can still eat it. So I don't know. I went to Farmer Bill's, and we have no affiliate or anything with them, but I just ordered their bundle, which had some bison jerky and beef jerky, and it had some beef tallow like face
Tell,
tallow, yeah,
yeah,
and
that stuff.
not tallow made out of faces. It might be beef faces. I don't know what it's made out of. And so I just got that bundle, and I've been sampling this stuff, and I kind of like it. Now there is this chunk biltong, which is not sliced up like this. I didn't bring that down to show, and that stuff has to go in the bag and then go in the refrigerator. But then you can cut chunks off of it, and it's got each piece has some fat on it, which is really nice because sometimes jerky can be lean, and carnivores want the fat. So, yeah, I recommend it. I'd never heard of it before, and I'd never had it, obviously, and now I like it.
I like the texture of it. This was too spicy for me, although it dissipated pretty quickly. But I'll be interested to try some of the plain bison. I like the texture and interesting.
There's the heat.
I don't like you're in charge of tending to the meat though. I don't know about tending to it. It's got some real kick.
It's the back of your throat burn, which I really like, but it does sometimes catch you by surprise. I actually did a thing where I had a plate of butter and some of this, and I kind of ate them together, and that kind of reduced the heat. All right. So we've covered this, and this already. Hey, hi, Curtis. He says, "Yay, I made it."
Hey.
And he says he's in Michigan. Carnivore for 4 months and 3 days. Wow, you're keeping track of the days.
Nice.
I don't keep track of days. And JH, you said watch out for spiders picking pine cones and weeds and stuff like that.
That's for sure.
And JH is going to a Brazilian restaurant for Thanksgiving. We've always had big gatherings, but this year it could be awkward with the guest mix.
Yes.
So I have been seeing that some people are altering their plans for Thanksgiving to keep people separated from each other who can't. I just heard that song. Keep them separated. Who can't control their discussion topics. And JH says, great video, by the way, all about the birthday video. Thank you very much.
It was a very cool video. I had very little to do with it.
You showed up to shoot one bit of B-roll on the dock, and that was the end.
That was nice.
Guess what? You're up. I'll be excited to see what video you're ready to post on Tuesday.
It's going to be all about Carnivore with youth theater.
So related to that, in our last live, we talked about how we intentionally avoid talking politics on this channel because we just want it to be a refuge and a haven from that, because you can get plenty of it on YouTube and X and Facebook and I suppose every social platform and television. However, there is a current news item that's related to politics that verges into our interest area for this channel, which is diet and exercise. And that is that RFK Jr. has been nominated to be the head of HHS, which is the Health and Human Services, which is an enormous bureaucracy in the federal government. And it has, I believe, 12 sub-departments within it, including administering all of Medicaid, Medicare, and the child program called CHIPS. But also the FDA is under the aegis of HHS, CDC, and which is the Center of Disease Control for Disease Control, and NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health, which itself has, I don't know, a dozen or more institutes of basic research into various health concerns, including things like cancer and heart disease and aging and children's issues. And I don't even know all of them. I have more familiarity from my past career with kind of how NIH worked, because the business I worked for we sold some things to NIH because NIH has its own research laboratories, but most of the funding for NIH is then granted out to universities for other basic research. So a researcher would write a grant proposal, it goes to NIH, a review board then scrutinizes it and then grants or either doesn't grant the
Grant. Grant's the grant.
grant. So when I was and so that would affect the business, because if you sell into pharmaceuticals or universities that do research, because most of the big universities have huge biomedical research departments doing basic research. And so as NIH's budget went up, so did the funding for all of those. And then all of the industry that served those people then had their boats lifted. So it was a big part of the whole thing. So I followed it closely. Obviously, when there's tens of billions of dollars, it's a small little asterisk in the overall budget, but it's very big and impactful. But there is a lot of opportunity for waste and fraud in those things, of course. But what I was interested in was I didn't even really know anything about RFK until he started running for president. And then I saw him on the various podcasts that I watched, like I think he was on Rogan, and then he was on the All In podcast, and he was with Lex Friedman and all those usual places. And I had no opinion one way or the other about him because I didn't know anything. But I was more interested in that the carnivore docs that I'm seeing, like Baker and Barry, they seem, generally speaking, pretty optimistic.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched them talk about it at length, so I don't really know the specifics of what they were saying. But if I judge the various different corners of X, because I doom scroll X all the time, all the right people seem to be upset about it. So that's that. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it does sound like there's some doubts whether he will be confirmed, because the Senate has this role in the Constitution of advise and consent, just like they do for Supreme Court justices. And if they say thumbs down, then he has to go do something else. So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Several weeks ago, when he was making the rounds, basically, we had a couple different families we know shifting their diet. And and we said, we think we're partially to do with that. They've been seeing us. But I also think it was because this has come into hopefully it can stay in the conversation and not be shot down, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we can move in a direction that is good for our health.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious that, speaking for Americans specifically, our health is declining. And us carnivores, we kind of suspect we know what's going on with that. But I doubt we actually even know the full story about how many contaminants we're exposed to that are affecting us. So I don't know if I'm encouraged or not. I know that anytime that there's efforts to make big change, there's big backlash.
Yes.
And I don't know if anything can actually be fixed. But we're not here to talk about the politics of it. We're just talking about, there is some promise, because Callie and Casey Means are very tied in with RFK and his movement as it is. And I have a lot of respect for what I've heard from them.
Yes.
So that's encouraging.
Yeah, I followed them more than I followed RFK. And they seem somewhat aligned.
So that was our little meteor of JJ Eric bouncing off the atmosphere of politics. And now we're just going to keep right on going back into orbit. And check in with Hope here. Hope says, I believe from all the videos I've watched, for trigs, you need to fast for 12 to 14 hours, no more, no less. Eating higher fat will also decrease your trigs. They should be tested at the same time. I think you mean each time you test them.
Oh, yes.
Would make sense.
Same time.
So if you're having the blood draw at 8 a.m., you should always have that with the same fasting duration beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that that 12 to 14 hour thing discussed it on what's Dave Feldman's site, Cholesterol Code or something.
I don't know, but yeah.
And there was
Feldman.
in the discussion forums, there was if you fast too long, sometimes that elevates trigs for some reason. But I've been very careful to be in that window, and my trigs are, but they are better than they were when I first started.
Yes, this last one
Yep.
was much better.
So instead of being in the upper 200s, they're down in the 100s. So I mean, it's headed in the right direction.
And it's, as you've sort of said, it's not like you're going to go back.
Yeah, what am I going to
So
do?
I don't know.
I suppose I could do like Nick and Norwitz and just eat some Oreos and get that's LDL though.
Yeah.
That would make trigs go up. OG or Ogie. Good morning. Love you guys.
Oh.
Well, we love you back.
Hmm.
I wish we knew how to pronounce your name. But thank you. Hope says, my husband and I have been carnivore for 575 days.
Oh, nice.
I really enjoyed your last video. Thank you so much, Hope. That was a full day making that, because not only did I have to do all the chores that I did in it, like sprinting and moving firewood and stuff, I then had to edit it all together.
I was not there to shoot the B-roll.
No, you
I was
just
off gallivanting.
at the very last minute during sunset, you showed up.
Me and my friend, it was our lunch day, I think it was. Yeah. And we went to an Italian beef place, and I had Italian beef and came home that night, and you were like, "What were you eating?" Because you smelled garlic. And I was like, "Oops, yeah, Italian beef." But it's going to happen again. We're going to go to the Italian beef place because it's a good place for me to be able to eat. And I'm going to come home smelling like garlic.
It's just, I guess, part of it. You get to do that occasionally, but if you did it every night, we'd have to have separate houses.
No, no, we will not be doing it probably not even every week. But yeah, you were like, and I'm like, "What?" Oh, it was the beef. It was the beef.
There's something genetic about you and garlic that it's a garlic magnification.
I don't know. I don't know if it was until I did the cleanse where I had to take garlic all the time or what, but I don't know.
Okay, so we've covered all of our carnivore topics that we knew about. I comb through all of the comments on previous videos and I show those, but since almost all of them had to do either with Thanksgiving or my birthday, it just seemed like we covered all of that pretty well. So I didn't really want to go back and scrutinize all of that. We've been watching this goes beyond carnivore.
Yes, it does.
To cannibal, which we do not advocate.
We do not, no.
But we've been watching this young adult teen show called Yellow Jackets. And I am a sucker for plane crash survivor stories like Lost. Even though I've always been disappointed in every single one of those I've ever seen. But this one's pretty good. It's a high school soccer team gets, stranded in the woods somewhere. And there's some weird, eerie, paranormal-y kind of things. And then they get really hungry and accidentally cook one of their friends. And then it smells so good.
The friend was dead.
But it just showed me that, deep down, Hollywood knows that if you're starving, what you really want is meat. And you will eat it. So,
oh my. Well, and it's winter now, so there's no vegetation to be had.
Right, yeah.
There's stuff.
And you can't eat pine needles. So that show is, I don't know. It's not for kids, even though it's definitely a teen show.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right.
I brought some show and tell.
Oh.
I don't have a lot of show and
tell. Last weekend we went and you installed a bunch of IKEA bookshelves into our bedroom.
I did, yeah.
And we brought over our books from the other house and we created a little library in our bedroom of all our books.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our books include your books that you
Yeah,
own
now they do.
and your books that you have written.
Yeah, and the problem was we have way more shelves than books because I have had to be very heartless about shedding books because of not having space to put them. All the space, and I wish I had all my books back.
Well, I've purged the last
Yeah.
3 years extensively to where I've pretty much got Harry Potter and my Anne of Green Gables
Yeah.
series and my Mists of Avalon series, and that's about it.
And you read everything on Kindle now.
I
So.
do read a lot on Kindle, yes.
So before we get to this, I want to pop Hope's comment up here. My husband and I work in film with animals. We recently worked on an episode of Yellow Jackets. That's really cool. Can you say what species, or are you not allowed to even talk about that level of detail?
Non-disclosure. Okay, here we go.
Oh, here he is.
Oh,
If you
wow.
keep watching, see the episode with frogs, know that we were there with said frogs.
Very cool.
That's going to be really fun to see. I mean, there's such a long history of animals in film and TV, and there's always an animal handler behind the scenes, right?
Mhm.
And having to, I mean, do you have to, I mean, frogs probably don't need a lot of training, but you got to wrangle them. I wouldn't want to touch a frog.
Well, and here we have they're real frogs because we know there's been a CG bear and a CG moose so
Yeah.
far.
I think a CG deer.
Oh, was there a CG deer as
Yeah.
well?
So that's really cool. So everybody who's interested in carnivore will now leave, but I want to just show off. I'm starting to get back into writing the next book in my well, I've 100,000 words into this new manuscript, so it's not like I'm
No,
just starting it.
no.
But I've been writing this fantasy series for a long time, and book 1 is called Thief of Sparks. This is the cover, and this character is Kyla, and this is her cat Nax, and she's a thief. And it's kind of medievally Tolkien-esque kind of genre, if you like that kind of stuff. I had always wanted to write this since I was like 13. Not this particular story, but this genre. And I hadn't done it. And so I said, you know what? I'm just done writing things that I think will fit the market. I'm going to write what's really true to my heart. And so I don't have book 2 or 3 or 4, but I do have book 5 of that series here, which is Force of Destiny.
Where's 2, 3, and 4?
I don't have copies of them. I gave them away.
Oh, yeah.
And here's book 6. They get thicker as I go,
They
just like
do.
the Harry Potter ones. Shadline Rises. The Shadline is a term within the world. This one's awesome. Oh, they're all good, but they get progressively better because the scope and the scale of the story gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then book 7 is Fortress of Shadow. Just unbelievably epic magic battles, and there's dragons, and there's there's a whole sword cult with magic swords and stuff. It's when I got this paper version and came in the mail, and I opened it, because until you see the book, it's an ebook, it's a manuscript, it doesn't really exist. I turned to the climactic scenes and I started reading, and I read the last fourth of the book, and I had tears in my eyes because I was remembering what the 14-year-old me would have felt reading that epic sequence of events, and I could not believe I had written it. It's absolutely incredible. And then I followed it up with something even more epic, which is Dagger of Deception, which, I mean, this is like one of the coolest covers in the series. And again, it's just a relentless, absolutely epic fantasy storytelling, and I can't get enough of it. So getting back into book 9 that I'm trying to write right now, it is, because of the nature of these things, it is because I'm getting to the climactic battles of the whole end of the world, kind of good and evil fight that is typical of this genre. The scale of what's happening is just so incredible. But it's also really fun because I have these characters who had these big arcs. They're maturing into the peak of what they need to be in order to face the challenges. And I feel like in my own life as a carnivore, I'm getting near the peak of what I need to be to face the challenge of writing the book. So that's really good. But if you like fantasy, if you like the idea of telepathic cats that bond with humans and talk to them a little bit, the main characters each have a very opinionated and not necessarily always friendly cat friend who talks to them in their mind. If you like epic magic, if you've ever read Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time and you like that kind of thing, then you should check out my books. So we will stop talking about my books now.
Well, no, I want to give a little back.
Okay, go ahead.
It's just a little behind the scenes. So when he initially started this series, it was his intention to have all of the stories be short. Like, wasn't it 50,000 words or so?
Each book was supposed to be 50,000 words.
Yeah. It did not hold. So as he talks about them getting bigger and bigger as they go along, he ain't kidding. But there are so many characters. And as you mentioned, I just want to reiterate that as you get further and further along in the series, it gets to be a larger and larger project to keep track of all the people and all the plot lines. And so, wrapping up this whole epic series is a big project.
Yeah, the file that keeps track of the characters and objects and terms and stuff is a huge document. Mm-hmm. It's now electronic, so that's cross-referenced and stuff, but maintaining that, when I get away from it, I regret it. Because I'm like, what was the name of that guy and what color was his eyes? I don't know. I got to go find it.
Yep. Yeah.
You'd think AI would be of assistance with that.
You were hoping.
I was trying to ingest the manuscripts into AI so I could ask questions about the plot. I didn't want it to write anything for me. AI will never write a single word for me, period. But I wanted it to know the story so I could say, what's the color of Nax's eyes? And and what chapter did I mention that? And it goes, I don't know. I'm like, it's in the manuscript. And it's like, I don't know. So the technology to be of any help to me at all, it doesn't exist yet. Someday it will. So, yeah. Let's see here. Hope Parrish says, we work with all things creepy crawly. Pretty much anything filmed in Vancouver that has snakes, spiders, and my husband.
Etc.
Oh, etc. My husband is done. I thought your husband was part of the creepy crawly sentence. That's interesting. Because I'm not into the touching the creepy crawly animals. But I mean, they're a big part of film. But I always wonder, like the Raiders, when he has got the tarantulas on his back and stuff, and he has to brush them off with the whip. But then he's afraid of snakes. But those were all real animals, well, except for, I suppose there was about 1 million rubber snakes in that one too. But I always think, if I had to be in a role like that, and they said, okay, we're going to have a creepy animal that's got to walk on you and touch you. Would you prefer a tarantula, a snake, or any sort of monkey? And I think I would have to pick the snake. Oh, because I'm not letting a monkey anywhere near me.
No,
they're on the same level as tarantulas for me. And if it's in an outfit, I can't even start watching it. You must be so proud to hold something you created in your hands. I will grab them from house. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's extraordinarily satisfying. And it doesn't get old. I've written 15, 16 novels, and once you get that hard copy in your hand, it's just the same as the first time.
I remember the first series you wrote, and I had cognitive dissonance because I was like, my husband wrote this.
Yeah, I remember you saying, it's a real book.
It's a real book. And it's a weird thing because it's not like I doubted his ability. But yet it's completely different when it's like, oh, this is like legit book. I
Yeah.
don't know. There was some weird disconnect.
If anyone has an impulse to try to write a novel, I say you should do it. Obviously, we're in the middle of November, which is NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. So you're kind of missing the start, but that's how I wrote my first one. Is I started November 1st and I wrote every single day until I got 50,000 words. You only need to write 1,667 words per day.
And you have done dictation, writing with dictation. You've done writing on a typewriter. You've done a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I wrote one entire novel on manual typewriters just because I loved typewriters, but it was really bad for my hands, so I stopped doing that.
Likely to happen again.
Dictation's also a little bit weird mode. You have to really get your mind switched over into that mode. But a science fiction science fiction author, Kevin J. Anderson, who's co-written a bunch of the Dune sequels, he dictates absolutely all of his novels while he's hiking. He outlines and then he dictates the first draft. I just read a novel by him just last week. Let's see. JH just started reading Thief of Sparks. Not normally my genre, but we'll give it a chance because I know the author, kind of. Well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it. If not, I'm not offended because trust me, there's some really famous authors out there whose works they're just not my cup of tea. So I don't expect my writing to be everyone's cup of tea, and I can handle it without any difficulty whatsoever. Hello, Annette. It's good to see you here. Hope says, my husband had to put a bunch of baby tarantulas on Ray Liotta's naked body for a movie. Were they afraid of him? Were the tarantulas afraid of Ray?
That is funny.
Well, I have questions. Like, don't tarantulas have venom and bite when they're nervous? And why are they so creepy? And so large.
That is a benefit of living here in Wisconsin, is our level of creepy crawlies is pretty low.
Yeah. The biggest spider I've ever seen was a wolf spider that was, about that big around. And that was on that hot tub you were in. Lisa says, no monkeys. The movie Monkey Shines did it for me. Yeah. We're rewatching Friends right now, and we finally got through the season where Ross had the pet monkey, Marcel. I hate that monkey. Well, I don't hate it. I hate all monkeys.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever see them on my TV screen. And it's not. It's really just because there's something creepy about them, and I don't want them touching me.
You want very few animals touching you, though.
Yeah, that's kind of true. But I like animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. No monkeys. The movie Monkey Shines did it for me. Yeah.
So I'm curious, we talked a lot about Thanksgiving, but I'm wondering, we have, is it JH who's going to the Brazilian place?
Yeah.
What are you guys having for Thanksgiving? What are you doing? What are you having? Put it in the comments. Because my show, my youth theater group that I co-direct is having its show this weekend, Finding Nemo Jr., where none of the fish are eaten. And I'm looking forward to being on the other side of it. I think it's going to be a good show. It's been a good production. Everything's been great, but I'm kind of ready to turn the corner toward these other holidays and start putting my energy toward getting that turkey in the sous vide and and all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to the weekend being complete, having another one in the books. This is our 10th season.
Oh, yeah.
Doing kids theater. And so we've done, I think this is play number 23, maybe. I think.
So how many kids are in each play? 40?
It depends. This one has 63.
63?
Yeah. So this one's a pretty big one. In fall, we tend to do a larger one, and it tends to be sort of a crowd pleaser musical, usually Disney. And then in the spring, we usually do a little bit smaller with more like 40. And it usually is a little bit um, not off the beaten path, but it's not as popular a title because we want to stretch our kids a little bit and move into a different area. And also usually work with older kids a little bit more in that
Well,
way.
it's extremely impactful. If you think about kids being glued to their phones and their tablets and stuff, this is a time where 3 times a week they have to put them down
Mm-hmm.
and coordinate with each other to do an activity that isn't online or in front of a screen.
Yeah.
And then they have to act, they have to emote, they have to remember things, they have to memorize lines, and then they have to put on a performance and get the feedback from a pretty warm
It
audience
is a warm
of
audience.
parents and
Yeah.
grandparents and relatives. And doing that year after year after year, you get to see these kids
Oh,
from small to they kind of age out of your program.
yep.
But then they go on to high school and then they're in drama and they're in plays, and those skills that they've developed will go with them.
They do. Yeah.
Whether it's public speaking or just learning how to work with people or learning what kinds of things are really irritating about working as a team
Yes.
and being able to identify those people who aren't team players.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of those lessons, they're not necessarily um, explicitly spoken. They're learned, they're internalized through doing the activity. So the impact that you and your crew have had on these kids is just immeasurable.
Yeah.
And it isn't for the money.
It is not for the money. That is for sure. That is for sure. And we have a pretty good group of 8th graders right now. And I told them it was going to hurt my heart when they left. I mean, every year we've got some 8th graders who, like you said, age out. And it's always sad to see them go, especially if they've been there a while. And this group is a little bit of a larger group, you know? So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a gap after this year. Well, not a gap. We've still got others coming up, but some that have been with us for a very long time.
Well, before this, years and years ago, she ran a dance studio where
Mhm.
she taught the little bitty kids up to like high schoolers, right?
Yeah, usually, yeah.
And everywhere we go in town, still, she'll say that was one of my students.
Yeah.
They'll be and now they're adults with their own kids, and everybody knows Miss JJ.
Yeah. It's really interesting for me because for me, it is through being on stage, either through dance or through theater, that I'm tearing up right now. Like it's how I express emotion and feel emotion through that. Cause I'm not an extremely emotional person generally in real life.
Mhm.
But for me, that is my outlet totally. So yeah.
All right. Lisa says, when I was 5, my dad took me to Central Park Zoo, and there were no guardrails back then. A chimp tried to pull me in its cage. The 70s.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that would create a
Terrifying.
lifelong trauma that would not soon. You're lucky you didn't get pulled in. Chimps are ruthless.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, nobody's telling us what they're eating for Thanksgiving. I think they feel like, well, we talked about this previously and we put it in a comment on that one video.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And so they don't want to type it again. But I know that some are. I thought one of the really cool strategies for carnivores was, if you really want to indulge in some of those foods, is to try to find keto versions.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, that's a pretty acceptable compromise that wouldn't necessarily throw you completely off the rails.
Mhm.
And then Courtney, who's not here right now, who is our great enabler.
That's not what you said about her.
was like, you're like at your goal weight. You're fine. You're not going to go off the rails. Just enjoy the holiday. And I was like, well, I like that advice. But then others were like, they're not messing around.
No.
They are staying on track.
Yeah.
And yeah. So but I like seeing this. Lisa says she's going to have a roast chimp. No, just me and my 19-year-old son, just turkey and gravy with flour, sauteed broccoli and garlic, tons of butter. I like that.
Mhm.
Mashed potatoes and baked mac and cheese
Ah,
for him.
yep.
The mac is a new addition. Yeah, that's a nice, yeah, the mac and cheese is a nice comfort food. I wish there was a really good, pure carnivore, non-dairy mac and cheese. I want some sort of a science to create a nutrient pellet that tastes like whatever you want.
So Chris Cooking Nashville, and then I think Crazy Ketos, I don't know if they tweaked his recipe or just made his recipe, but make a carnivore mac and cheese using shrimp. And supposedly, and I can kind of see this. I'm not a seafood eater, as I've said, but I can kind of see it gives that sort of a noodly texture. I think I won't be making that for us. But he also made one recently with his chicken based noodles, which I've made those once or twice.
Yeah. I guess that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
Be Good says turkey, mostly beef, just like every day.
Mm.
Yeah. So adding some turkey and then beef makes a great carnivore day.
And I still am not convinced or committed, 100% committed, but I do have that rib roast that I might throw in with
yeah.
our Christmas with our Thanksgiving turkey as well to just give us a little more meat.
JH says, I was done with chimps after Nope, which I think is a movie, but I didn't see it. I don't know what Nope is.
Well, if there are chimps in it, you would not be.
Except for I liked the Planet of the Apes movies.
Mm.
The new ones. The old ones were fine, but I like the new ones because they're pretty seriously dark. I'm probably going to make a pumpkin keto chow ice cream or cheesecake something. And that sounds like a really good plan. I didn't know that they had a pumpkin keto chow.
Yep. I made not using keto chow. I made keto pumpkin bars last year for Thanksgiving. You don't remember
With
them?
keto chow?
No, not with keto chow. I said just pumpkin keto bars with cream cheese frosting. They were very good. I'm not in charge of dessert though this year, since we're having a larger crowd than usual. They want to bring more food, so they're bringing the apps and the dessert.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Remington, I'm doing a turkey for Thanksgiving and no sugar pumpkin pie with almond crust. I have a steak, but my DH won't let me. Yeah, you got to stay a little bit of traditional. Lisa, my son I had to start making the mac because as a mulatto, he needs one black people food. I didn't know that it was culturally coded at all because I've been eating nothing but mac and cheese, since I could chew.
Yes.
It was one of the first things I learned how to cook.
He cooked it well. He cooked a good craft, let me tell you. His ratios were special and they were good.
Shrimp mac and cheese is really good. I have also made it with the chicken noodles. Yeah, I would be much more inclined to try it with the chicken noodles. I can eat shrimp. Most of my family is deadly allergic to shellfish. I can eat it without problems. I don't like it.
Oh yes, Canadian Thanksgiving. Yeah,
we had Thanksgiving already. We enjoyed flank steak, prawns, salmon. It was delicious. Yeah, you drop the prawns out of that, and I would probably like that.
That's an interesting thing. I think Laura Spath was talking about that too, of just having several meats for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, if it really comes down to if I'm going to go from pure carnivore to something not quite pure carnivore for Thanksgiving, I'm not going to go crazy because I don't want to be sick. But, adding some dairy and stuff, which I'm currently not eating, would be a pretty big treat.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was wearing a continuous glucose monitor last year for Thanksgiving because I was curious. And I did not have a big blood sugar spike off of our Thanksgiving. It was very interesting. Now, I did have My cranberry sauce was made with allulose. I did make the keto pumpkin bars. My mashed potatoes have a huge amount of fat in them. They're made with cream cheese and sour cream and butter. And then I had dressing or stuffing that was gluten-free grain stuff. So I did have carbs with those potatoes and the stuffing especially, but I apparently had enough fat and protein to sort of buffer it.
So, since there's a new crew here watching us that might have missed it, um, our publishing schedule for the channel is going to change for the holidays starting immediately. We will have a video on Tuesday, a pre recorded video on Tuesday, and a live on Friday. And that will be the schedule through the new year. So don't look for a Sunday
Nope.
because we're not going to be there.
We
We'll
won't
be
be
here
there.
Tuesday and then a live on Friday. And once we get past the new year, then we'll reassess and try to see how our lives are structured and what we want to do. But that's going to be the plan for now. We will have a Thanksgiving video on Thanksgiving, Thursday of Thanksgiving, a special, which we are going to record. We won't be live, but we'll pre-record that. But that will go live on Thanksgiving, so that after the parade and the dog show, and if you don't watch football, you can watch us. Or if you don't like the parade or the dog show, you just watch us. And we'll try to make something fun and cozy for you guys. So I think that's got to wrap up because I've got a high school student coming here to look about how to deal with extraordinarily destructive beavers coming out of the lake and trying to destroy very ancient trees.
This year they are extra cheeky.
Yeah. Like I've wrapped all of the chicken wire I possibly can around, and this one is just ripping it down like it's the Incredible
Yeah,
Hulk.
we've never seen that before.
It's like a mutant beaver with like, it's got beaver fever.
Not the beaver fever. By the way, Hope, I see your message or your note about the Basque cheesecake, and I do. I would like to try a Basque cheesecake, but I'm not sure.
I don't know what that is.
It's crustless, and it kind of has a, shall we say, a very intensely caramelized exterior.
Oh, okay.
So yes,
he's good. I wish he would just show up and cook us stuff. I don't see why he wouldn't. So I think we're going to sign off.
Yes, we do have.
Thank you guys so much for watching and being so supportive of us. It's been just a pleasure this year, and we're very, very grateful.
Thank you for the good wishes for the theater group this weekend, and we will be back we've got a recorded video on Tuesday, and we will be back next Friday. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.